Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we're diving into something incredibly practical. We're literally laying out a step-by-step blueprint for building the next generation of financial software. We're talking specifically about how to architect and build debt collection management software for 2026 and beyond. So, if you're a developer, maybe a systems architect, or a product leader looking to finally modernize those clunky legacy financial systems, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's get right into it.
Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter so much right now? Well, $12.41 billion. That's the projected market size for the global debt collection software industry by the year 2033. I mean, there is a massive bottom-line business value in getting this right. The entire industry is rapidly shifting away from manual spreadsheets and outdated on-prem servers. The organizations that figure out how to build scalable, highly compliant, and truly intelligent software, those are the ones positioned to capture all of this incredible growth.
Since this is a pretty dense, technical topic, we're going to follow a very structured roadmap. First, the broken legacy problem. Second, laying a cloud-native SaaS foundation. Third, building the API-driven core. Fourth, AI and predictive automation. Fifth, compliance and data security. And finally, number 6, your 2026 development roadmap.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the broken legacy problem, escaping monolithic constraints. Because, to build the future, we really have to address the painful foundational issues holding back older financial platforms.
So why exactly are traditional debt collection systems failing so badly in the digital age? It's a critical question. For decades, the sector has relied on these highly deterministic super binary workflows. Think about it like this. If a customer is exactly 30 days late, human agent Y makes call Z. It's incredibly predictable, right? But it's profoundly inefficient today. It doesn't adapt, it doesn't learn, and when you combine that rigid workflow with a legacy monolithic software architecture where every single feature is just bundled together into one giant code base, well, you get a system that just cannot respond to modern consumer expectations. Frankly, a lot of them are probably held together by duct tape and prayers on some server sitting in a closet since 1998.
Okay, let's dive right into this and contrast the rigid monolithic architectures of the past with the modern microservices approach we need today. Monoliths basically force you into a single technology stack, and if just one part of the system experiences a massive traffic spike, you literally have to scale the entire application, which, as you can guess, gets incredibly expensive. Worse than that, a bug in just one tiny feature can cause a complete system-wide failure. No, thank you. The modern microservices approach, on the other hand, allows for polyglot selection. That just means your development teams can pick the absolute best programming language for each specific service. Failures are completely isolated, and you can deploy updates incredibly frequently, even daily, without ever bringing the whole system down. It's a total game changer. Moving right along to Section 2, Cloud-Native SaaS Foundation, Architecting for Scalability. Now that we've established exactly why those old monoliths fail, let's talk about laying down a sturdy, modern foundation capable of handling some seriously massive transactional volume.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you actually make that shift. It's backed by hard data. You can see a sharp, sudden drop in system error rates following the adoption of microservices. By decoupling these services, like separating your payment routing from your notification management, financial institutions drastically reduce the blast radius of any given error. It is the ultimate proof that modern decentralized architecture inherently creates far more stable software. Now, when you're building a multi-tenant SaaS application, you're faced with a pretty nuanced choice on how to actually store all your different clients' data. As you can see, a database per tenant approach gives you super high security and strict data isolation. That's often a hard requirement for highly regulated financial institutions, but it definitely costs a lot more to scale. On the complete opposite end, a table per tenant model is highly scalable and very cost efficient, but man, it requires incredibly strict access control so you don't accidentally leak data between clients. So the sweet spot for a lot of enterprise debt collection apps is actually right in the middle, schema per tenant. This approach nicely balances solid performance with much more efficient resource allocation.
All right, Section 3, the API-driven core, building the connectivity plumbing. With our cloud foundation fully set, we move on to the structural framing of our software blueprint. This is really all about APIs, the invisible digital plumbing that allows all these different tools to communicate seamlessly with one another.
Traditional collections always relied heavily on phone calls and physical letters. But your 2026 software, it absolutely must eliminate all of that friction. By building an API-driven core, you open up omni-channel messaging across SMS, WhatsApp, and the web. You can seamlessly integrate bank debit APIs for instant, frictionless transfers. You can even automatically generate click-to-pay URLs, so a debtor can literally settle their account in 2 taps from their smartphone, without even needing to log in. What we're doing here is essentially building a mobile-friendly, totally self-service experience, one that actually empowers the user to resolve their debt, rather than just cornering them.
Let's move to Section 4, AI and Predictive Automation Installing the Smart Features. This is where we transition into the absolute most transformative part of the 2026 tech stack. This is where machine learning actually steps in and turns reactive software into true proactive intelligence.
So the crucial point here is the raw impact this technology has. By embedding AI into collections software, organizations are literally collecting up to 30% more, all while simultaneously slashing their operational collection costs by 40%. I mean, how incredible is that? And how are they doing it? Primarily by replacing massive amounts of tedious manual workload with AI-driven automation. The AI can instantly analyze payment histories and complex spending patterns to accurately predict which defaulters are most likely to pay. This means your human agents aren't wasting time. They're freed up to focus entirely on the most complex, nuanced cases that actually require a human touch.
And honestly, this represents such a profound, industry-wide shift. Debt collection is now focusing on supporting customers in overcoming financial distress, rather than just aggressive enforcement. We are literally moving from confrontation to empathetic collaboration. Think about it. Your software can use AI sentiment analysis to read the underlying tone of an incoming email or text message. If a customer's message is showing signs of distress, the software can automatically trigger empathetic messaging and instantly offer flexible repayment options. And look, it's not just a nicer, friendlier way to do business. The data clearly shows that matching your collection strategies directly to a debtor's emotional context actually yields significantly higher recovery rates across the board. It's a win-win.
Which brings us to Section 5, Compliance and Data Security, Fortifying the Doors. Because let's face it, all that empathy and efficiency mean absolutely nothing if your system isn't locked down and secure. We really need to look at the critical defensive mechanisms required to protect highly sensitive financial data and, of course, avoid those hefty regulatory fines.
You know, in the past, compliance was basically just a manual checklist sitting on someone's desk. But in 2026, AI acts as an automated legal guardrail. Your software absolutely must enforce rules automatically. For example, the 7 and 7 rule, making sure a debtor is only called 7 times within a rolling 7-day period. The system needs to dynamically align with regulations like the FDCPA in the US or GDPR over in Europe. It should be actively monitoring communication scripts in real time, instantly flagging inappropriate or aggressive language before a message is ever even sent. And of course, it needs to maintain immutable, built-in audit trails. When you hard-code compliance directly into the architecture like this, your legal risk literally plummets.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, your 2026 development roadmap, putting it all together. We've covered the architecture, the API integrations, the AI, and the compliance. So now let's look at a truly actionable, sequential project plan so you can actually get out there and build this software.
All right, here is your literal step-by-step blueprint. Step 1, you've got to start with requirement gathering and a strict compliance check, really mapping out the specific regional laws you have to follow. Step 2, move into developing your core back-end microservices and that intuitive, self-service front-end portal we talked about. Step 3, wire up all your API integrations for instant payments and omni-channel messaging. Step 4, conduct rigorous security penetration testing to guarantee that your multi-tenant data is completely isolated and secure. And finally, Step 5, execute your cloud deployment using continuous integration and continuous deployment pipelines so you can push those automated updates totally seamlessly.
At the end of the day, building the next generation of debt collection software isn't just about writing lines of code, right? It's about fundamentally changing the entire relationship between creditors and consumers. We now have the microservices to make it infinitely scalable, the APIs to make it entirely frictionless, and the AI to make it genuinely empathetic. So, I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to build software that stops enforcing and starts collaborating? The tools are all right there waiting for you. Now it's just time to build. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.